that soon could be ours. Let's form a team and we'll take to the wild. And we won't burn down the tavern. No, we won't burn down the tavern. No, we won't burn down the tavern. Come away, adventure calls today, and tomorrow we'll tell of our tale. Come away, we'll see that dragon slain. But before we go, let's dream. But before we go, let's dream. But before we go, let's dream. One more ale. We've come on down to the tavern for trouble and for fun, and to talk about the old prophecy. And we all sing songs at the tavern of the fights that we have won, and we dream about our next victory. Come away, adventure calls today, and tomorrow we'll tell of our tale. Come away, we'll see that dragon slain. But before we go, let's drink one more ale. Well, we won't burn down the tavern like the times we did before. It was not our fault, we swear honestly. But we'll do our dance at the tavern with the bards who've traveled far, and we'll ask them of the places they've seen. Come away, adventure calls today, and tomorrow we'll tell of our tale. Come away, we'll see that dragon slain. But before we go, let's drink one more ale. I feel the call of the road far outside, and the glory that soon could be ours. Let's form a team and we'll take to the wild, and we won't burn down the tavern. No, we won't burn down the tavern. No, we won't burn down the tavern. Come away, adventure calls today, and tomorrow we'll tell of our tale. Come away, we'll see that dragon slain. But before we go, let's dream. But before we go, let's dream. But before we go, let's dream. One more ale.
What a banger. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours. It's me, Devin. Excited that so many of you are here. This is our second time doing this. Oh, I gotta mute myself. I can hear myself. It's throwing me off. Um, I'm very, very excited that you're all here. I think this is the second time we've done this on YouTube, but I think it was working pretty well. And man, do I have a lot to cover today. Um, So first, how y'all doing? You guys having a good week so far? Good Tuesday? Let me pull up my notes. Samuel says, thanks for switching to YouTube. You betcha. You betcha. Um, let's start off with some wins. Thank you so much, D. Appreciate that. Let's start off with some wins, team. Um, so far this year, off of the 4 fundraisers that we've done, GMs have raised, with our matching and our referral bonus going to the charities, $11,000 for charity. Holy crap. Holy crap. That's so much. You guys are awesome. This is great. This is really fantastic. Extra Life, Okra Project, LGBTQ Hotline, like amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Some other quick wins. If you haven't gotten your merch from our last merch drop last week when we started shipping, you'll probably be getting it next week as the rest of it is shipping this week. So that should be pretty exciting. Um, let's see. Oh, okay. Let's get into updates. Do you guys know what HDYHAU is? Probably not because that's just a very specific acronym. It is, but you probably know what it is when I tell you. You just might not know by the acronym. It is the How Did You Hear About Us? When people check out at Start Playing, a form will show up that says, "Hey, how did you hear about us?" And they can pick from 7 options, but they only see that form once. But if someone has checked out maybe 6 times, but they've never answered it, it'll still show up. And that is a "How did you hear about us?" form, and that kind of helps us figure out our attribution. Let's say we do a big push. Like, for example, we're going to do this big push on YouTube. Remember, I've been talking about this. We're trying to find really good traction channels to help scale that are more efficient or affordable than performance marketing with GA or Google ads and Meta ads and TikTok ads. So we're doing this big YouTube push, right? We'll be able to see pretty easily when people check out, if they put in that survey, "I heard about you from YouTube," or "heard about you from a podcast." If we see a huge uptick that week and the following week, we know, okay, this drove a lot of people to make that purchase likely, because it's really hard to attribute organic traffic and direct traffic. If someone, for example, if I advertise to someone on Instagram and they see the ad, like, that's awesome. And they go home and they pull up their computer and they search Start Playing and they click on it. What we see when we look at our data is that person just Googled us, and and we should attribute that to organic traffic. But they saw us they saw an ad for us somewhere. So we don't really know where that customer came from, but when they tell us, it helps us build attribution models, which are a lot more correct or a lot more specific. So that's launching. The new one. We had to update it because a lot of people were, we had word of mouth as one of the options. And then a lot of people were going in others saying, "My family told me about it. My friend told me about it." And I was like, that's word of mouth. So we just changed a lot to make it easier to interpret. Also, am I super loud? If so, I can turn myself down. I see myself peaking a little bit here. I'll just turn myself down just a little bit, just in case. Okay. Let's see. GM time zone, that is something that we're just waiting for some final research to go in. The customer team is working hard on that, and GM time zone should be a feature we'll be seeing pretty soon. We don't know how it's going to show up visually, but we will be showing the GM's time zone on certain screens. If you haven't heard about the Stormlight RPG, you definitely should sign up for that if you like the Stormlight Archive, or you like Brandon Sanderson. This is a new game that is coming to Kickstarter. It regardless of Start Playing and our involvement, I think this might be the highest grossing tabletop RPG Kickstarter of 2024. I think Stormlight will. I could be wrong. I mean, the highest one so far is Avatar, but I think the Stormlight one will absolutely wreck some numbers. And that activation will be happening during the Kickstarter. We saw incredible amount of activation when we did this with Legend in the Mist. Lots of people came, lots of new people joined the site, lots of people were activated to play that game. So I think we're going to recreate that with Stormlight. I think once we get the codes, you'll know. Because we don't want to tell people you've been chosen and then not have a code to give out. So once we have the codes and we've locked it in with our partners, then we'll be telling people if they are selected or not. Let's say Bob Yo, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I feel I've done deep dives in all these different tabletop RPG Kickstarters. The thing that surprised me the most was Dungeon Coach, because Dungeon Coach has sub 100,000 followers on YouTube. So I wasn't expecting them to do 3 mil. I wasn't expecting them to be Kobold Press. I was expecting to do really well when I saw so many people talking about it. I wasn't expecting to do that well. And that one I definitely missed the mark on. But I think I've been right about most of my estimates outside of that one and Walking Dead. I was expecting Walking Dead to do a lot more because it's a larger franchise than Avatar. I wasn't expecting to beat Avatar, but I was expecting to do a lot bigger. But whatever, we're getting way off base here. The D&D event. Um, uh, the D&D event. Yes, there's a D&D event. We can't tell you what the adventure is for it yet, but the D&D event is a player's handbook celebration. GMs who are selected will get a free player's handbook on D&D Beyond, the new edition, or the updated player's handbook. And anyone who has the updated player's handbook can, of course, go and participate in this event. But the GMs that are chosen will get a code for the D&D Beyond edition of it. And GMs who also sign up will get access to an adventure that they can or may not decide to run for the Player's Handbook celebration. I can't tell you what the name is. I know what it is. It's really cool. It's really cool, and I can't tell you. And that's it. I want to tell you. I'm gonna Morse code it to you. Okay. So hopefully, I didn't tell you. I just, Gen Con event. Guys, Gen Con is coming. If you're in the Discord, you probably saw. I mean, I don't know how you'd be here if you're not in the Discord. Maybe you subscribe to us. But yeah, the Gen Con event, the sign up form is out there, the RCP list. It's gonna be really fun. Our game masters are going to be there. Some of our players are going to be there. A bunch of our creators are going to be there. A bunch of our partners are going to be there. It's going to be awesome. Okay. Referral study. All right, we're doing this really cool referral study. And we're doing 2 referral studies, one for players, one for GMs. Some of you GMs, you probably already met with us. We're going to put out a little survey later this week to select GMs, probably about 100 of them, to kind of see if that lines up with our the user interviews we had. But we're doing some stuff around referrals. We understand that it's valuable for a GM to give someone $10 off if they're a brand new customer, but the $10 in credit they get is just kind of like a wash because not a lot of GMs are able to use that credit because they're so busy running games. So we're working on that, but we're also working on the player side because we know that player referrals are the stickiest. Payouts V2, that is something that we're also doing some research around as we slowly refactor the entire site, which, if you've been here before, you know what that means. When we refactor a page, and the more we refactor, the more of our site is adhering to our design system. And if our entire site is on the same design system, what does that allow us to do? Let me hear it in chat. Dark mode! Yes, dark mode. Dark mode is possible once the entire site has been refactored. Well, it becomes really easy. We could do it right now, but it would take 2-3 weeks of time devoted to it. But instead, we're refactoring the different parts of the site. When we do that, we're kind of update it. We make it use all the same design system. If you're not familiar on a design system, I'm sure someone in chat can kind of go over it. We've shared about it before, but the idea is the design system means we have a bunch of components on the back end, and we build a new page. We say, hey, if there's a button, it's going to use our design libraries button. If we're going to add a header, you design libraries header. Before we had Nick on our team, who's our product designer, we had a bunch of freelance designers. We had myself with Photoshop. It was a mess because we didn't have a design, so we didn't have a design system. So a lot of our site is designed by many different people, and there was no cohesion around it as far as the design library. And so that's changing bit by bit. But we're doing some research on how to make payouts impactful page as well. So we're going to update the page, but then we're also going to go and give it some more functionality. So there'll be some user interviews going about that to GMs and probably some surveys later this month. Okay. Okay. Transactional email study. We did a big dive on Discord notifications, but we learned some more out of it. There's just a lot of emails you as GMs get that you just don't care about. You don't care about. You're like, screw this email. I want the good emails. So we're doing a big study on how can we improve the transactional emails. Now, transactional emails are the ones that are fired because you've done something. Hey, I created a game listing. Someone signed up for my game. I deleted a game has been rescheduled. All of those. So we're trying to figure out how to make those emails more efficient and allow you to kind of decide which ones you'd like to get and which ones we feel are incredibly necessary for you to get. I don't think we'd ever not allow you to get an email that says you have a new player. But there are some that I think you should absolutely be able to opt out of. But for example, we can't opt customers out of receipt emails. When a customer gets a confirmation or a confirmation of play or charge, they need that. We're actually required by law to send them that receipt. That's why you can't unsubscribe from certain transactional emails. but we're looking at that to make things a little bit easier. Okay, search tech. There's so much to get through. That's why I'm trying to like throw through all of this as soon as possible because I want to make sure we have tons of times for questions. We're doing a search box study. I think I told you guys about the search box study last time. I'm going to show you what that means. If I didn't, I'm going to show it to you now. Okay. So we're looking into some technology. Let's go ahead and if I can see if I can do this. Window capture. We want to capture Firefox. Discord, Chrome window. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, we're here on Walmart. This is just an example. But we're looking at some technology that allows if, say I'm looking for a board game, right? Board, board. I'm spelling board wrong, but it knows that I mean board game. It's essentially like using a predictive data set to determine aliases. So if I write board game but wrong, it knows I probably want a board game or maybe I want some variations of this. I want board games or I want poster board or cutting board. So imagine if start playing, you could say like, oh, I want Curse of Strahd. And it knew I wanted Curse of Strahd and it presented that. Or it knew when I wrote Curse, it might say Curseborn. This is a technology we've been looking into. It's very, very complicated, but we're trying to see if it is something that is realistic that we can do. Because how we see people search. And so we want to be able to also find ways to look at all game listings and be able to figure out where they would group in some of these other things too without you having to do anything. Okay. I see a lot of questions. I will have a bunch of Q&A in a little bit, but Ekin, keep that question. I'm going to go ahead and answer in a little bit too. Starter set. Oh gosh, do you guys want to see the prototype? Do you guys want to see the starter set prototype? Do you guys want to see it? Okay, no one wants to see it. Okay, we'll go. We're working on, we're still doing some research on the GM profile. We're going in update. Oh, you guys do? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can. Okay, I'll show you that. Yeah, okay. If you guys want to see it, that's fine. Okay, this is it. Boom. Okay. So starts off like a landing page, kind of like this. Or actually, let me refresh. Let's see if the new one's showing up. Nope. Okay. So you start. How much experience you have playing D&D? I've never played before. Awesome. We'll see other players who also have never played before. Pick a date. Pick a date when they want to play. Pick a time when they want to play. Okay, I want to play at like 6. Awesome. Do you have a laptop, desktop, or computer or microphone? Yes, I have a desktop with microphone. Great. That's all you need. The Dungeon Master knows all the rules. They'll have a pre-generated character sheet for you. And does a little math. And then you get GMs to choose from. So you're like, cool, I'm going to play with Scott. I go next, and boom, this takes you right to checkout. Now, this is just like the prototype. We're still working on a lot of it. Someone asked me, how am I choosing what GMs? This actually isn't open yet. Like, we're not actually doing this yet. We're doing tests of it. But how we've been choosing DMs is we've just been looking for the most popular times and seeing if someone has a game that just says learn to play. That's how we're actually like sliding some people in these tests. So if you have a learn to play D&D game, you might get chosen randomly. You might just get a Discord message from me saying, hey, do you want to, can I put this player in your game? I'll pay for their seat. So something to keep in mind. Okay. Back to what I was saying, the best GM profile. So we're trying to figure out what would make the GM profiles like really, really impactful to players. We haven't seen a lot yet. We've tested some things with players and they don't seem very interested in it. But we know that like they are having trouble navigating the current the current GM profile. So we need to improve it, but we're trying to figure out the best way to do it. We got some research we've done. Now we're just trying to figure out like how we want to actually put that into practicality and like what easy things we can test if we don't have a signal on anything yet. Okay, SEO. So we're doing a big programmatic landing page project this quarter and a little bit of next quarter. And so that means we're going to have landing pages for tons of things. For example, there'll be like a landing page for different Pathfinder adventure paths. There'll be a landing page for Monster of the Week. There'll be a landing page for Curse of Strahd. There'll be a landing page for um, Traveler. Essentially, first, we're going to look to see if there's enough games to support it. And I think we're making it like 20 or 30 is like what's required, like sessions that exist. Uh, but these landing pages are going to be very specific. And ideally, if you have games that fit those, your games will also be more discoverable in Google because of how the URL slug is working. So if you're running like, I forget what the Curse of Strahd gender flip module is called. But if you're running that, it'd be like Curse of Strahd, She is Legend, and then like whatever you're calling it. And so likely that should be more searchable in Google, but also it has a dedicated landing page. If people are just looking for Curse of Strahd, they can find all those games really easily. She is Ancient. Thank you so much, Shidness. Sarah, thank you so much. Have a great onboarding. And so we are looking into two other things. So we're trying to figure out the technical stuff behind GM Skip, where GMs can skip for their players. And we're running into some technical blockers, but while we were doing that, we thought we should also work towards partial skipping. So if people have booked for themselves and a friend, we want it to be easy for that person to also be able to skip just for their friend. So the GM doesn't have to change the price to 10 if it's $10 a seat and there's two people. Shitness, did I hear that right? Is 20 to 30 scheduled sessions? No, 20 to 30 different games available. So it's like, 20 GMs running games for that system. Okay, and we're also working on some new fraud tools. There's been a few bad actors, and we kind of find them, usually after they've done something wrong. For example, we had a user who created like 25 fake accounts to try to get credit. And our system found them, about 2 weeks after they started this. But our system is really good at finding people after they start breaking the rules, not before they do. And so we're rolling out some new stuff that kind of creates more fraud protection. This also should help when people are committing fraud against GMs. So that should be cool. It's essentially like this identity matching system that the Eng team is working on. Okay. Some things that are coming soon. Off schedule icon. If you have a campaign schedule or a campaign sessions scheduled out, but your schedule is different than the sessions that have been scheduled, we want to make sure that you understand that you know that. So if I'm running a game on Saturdays at 6 p.m., but your schedule says Friday at 6 p.m., we want that to be evident to you. So we're going to be rolling out off the schedule icon on the GM admin side. Adventures move from active to pending. That is something the team is currently working on as well. So, and along with it is going to be the ability to mark an adventure either to pending or to ended. So you'll be able to end campaigns now, which will also no promises, scheduled sessions that were coming up. So if you have 30 sessions scheduled, but you and your group we found the endpoint, we actually don't need any more. You can just hit end campaign and it'll delete all those sessions before it deletes the campaign and lets the players know, hey, your session has ended. Okay. We're also refactoring the account details page. I'm sure you all know about the account details page. It is this one. We go here, boom, boom. Account settings. This is the account details page. And so this is going to get an update. The reason for that is because we need to update the referral system. We're going to try and make more referral touch points because we know on the player side, players refer a lot. They refer the most retentive players or users. So we're going to be doing that. And then another refactor means closer to dark shade, dark zone, dark mode. Sorry, guys. Oh, what a day. And then calendar visibility for pending games. Right now, customer and myself, we were talking to Nate, and he's kind of undertaking this, and he's doing some research on like what this would require on the technical side. The big problem with it is pending games usually don't have a date and time. Only one shots do. And so these items, if we put them on the calendar already, they're also going to update your Google link. But these will be games that might not even happen. So we need to find a way to make that work, to make a difference between active and pending on the calendar, so it also doesn't push, or maybe we want it to, but we're doing some research on that. Ba, 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 ba. All right. And then game listing filters is also something the team is currently working on. So everything from off schedule to this is like what the team's currently working on. Everything above that is like things that are being researched or to work on. But game listing filters is for when you go to game listings on the back end and you have all your one shots and all your campaigns, being able to filter between those and also toggle if you want to look at ones that are just active, aka they have scheduled adventures, or ones that are kind of like, to you, archive, like they, you don't need them because you just have the template there, but you're not actively using it. Okay. And then I can't talk to you about Secret Project 1, 2, and 3, but that is everything that is happening right now. Okay. So now, if you have a question, just like Kanan has in chat, question, all caps, and then your question. Question, any ETA on having calendar for pending? I think I just answered that for you. Well, I didn't answer for you, but I told you that there's currently like a technical research into how to make this doable. Ekin asks, reminder question, how does current new design stats going so far? I have a huge drop, but I'm not sure if it's just me or just luck because of the new pending system. I would say like right now we haven't seen a big drop. We've seen right when we launched it, we saw kind of a nice surge. It was the best we had in June and July, but right now like it's kind of the same. So we haven't seen it, like we saw it surge up, but we didn't see it kind of continue to rise. It's kind of been like the exact same we've had for the rest of the month. But as we roll out the new adaptive V2, we're gonna like see if that changes anything. But we haven't seen like a drop in new player signups. So that might be more confirmation bias on your side being tied to it. But the thing is, if we see things start to drop, we are actively going to change things because your success is our success. Okay. Can we get a list of products that you use for your beard? Thank you so much. Question. Could you talk about the Secret Projects 1, 2, and 3 instead of all of them? Not yet. D or sign, are we getting general stats soon, like price, most played systems, any ups and downs in traffic over months, whether our listing quality that is influencing signups? So D or sign, we can't actually give you like your own data because it takes a lot to do that, and our team is just not that big. When we get bigger, we can do things that like someone the other day was like, and I've talked about this before, someone's like, YouTube has that stuff, and so does Facebook. I'm like, we're not that big. But when we get bigger, we will have like personalized stats. That is definitely something we want to do. But we will have like a full like back-end team driven for like some of that stuff. Right now, like most of our projects are just on growth, with a few like QOL stuff, quality of life. But what I'll say is pretty much the types of games that people are playing has not changed from that September list I posted. Or maybe it was February list, but someone in the Discord can find it. It's on our blog, the most popular games being played. And the most popular times, they haven't changed either. And then our growth is still around like 10% growth month over month. So, for example, when I say like, we haven't seen a drop off in signups, yes, we're seeing more signups, but we're seeing like the same amount of signups we normally would if we are essentially planning for 10% growth. Okay. Do you know if any of the user-generated content from GMs got used yet? I don't know yet. I gave some stuff to one of our freelance designers for some ad stuff with D&D, and I'm waiting for it to come back. Is there any action against random leavers or constant skippers in the horizon? Ekin, probably not. I think we'll probably be, we will probably be looking at problems. If we see like a problem like that, like, oh my gosh, this person is like always taking up spaces and always skipping, we'll probably make something to fix that. If it becomes like a problem that we think is affecting like a lot of GMs, and especially if like we're seeing like problems with those users too. Um, I noticed that tabletop RPG GM experience has left the profile. Only thing visible in this year's experience on start playing. Yes, that's not a question. Um, Agnagar. Let me know what the question is. Game night question: is SVG doing a seminar at Gen Con again this year? We're not. We're not doing anything at Gen Con except the happy hour. But I'll be around looking for games to play. And I'll probably just be if you see me somewhere, I will have special con pins for our GMs. So if you come and you're like, hey, I'm a GM, show me your profile, and I'll give you a cool pin. Um, uh, let's see. Keith, question: Our D&D event. Is there anyone we can talk to at either Smithworks or Smiteworks or WotC about getting early access? I know it would not be free to the PHP Fantasy Grounds. There's nothing going on with Fantasy Grounds for early access that Wizard of the Coast is doing with us. That's a Smiteworks thing. We've reached out to them before to do some like collaboration stuff, but I think they just don't have the bandwidth right now. But if they'd like to, we're more than happy to kind of collaborate with them. But that's a Fantasy Grounds question, not on the WotC side. Bellion, are there any plans for custom campaign tags and search terms? Currently, we can only select official D&D campaigns in some genres, but are there any plans that we can make our own? No, not right now. Mainly because if we allow anyone to make tags, then tags become not as useful because you have to then group dozens of tags together for an overarching tag. So we want to keep the tags specific to the ones that we have listed because we can get the largest amount of volume in them. And if someone's like, oh, this game is a like horror dinosaur Victorian, it's very hard to make that a usable tag inside a hierarchy because it's just one that is generated by the user. So right now we're focusing on just on the ones we've created, but we'll continue to update those. And if you have one that you'd like to suggest, go ahead and message support. I know play-by-post games are low priority, but my players have expressed frustration at trying to navigate the play-by-post search. Mr. Gloom, that's great. I think we'll probably have something that's a lot easier for play-by-post once we launch our our SEO programmatic landing pages, because there'll be a whole landing page just for play-by-post games. But if they have certain frustrations, please have them write into support so that can be logged and we can let the product team know. So when we go to look at more play by post, we have some player feedback. PvPCon, do you have any sort of plans for improving the play by post player experience? We probably will do more if we see play by post grow. Right now, it's a little bit less than like 2% of all games on the platform. If we see that get to like 3 or 4% over the next few months, we'll probably focus more on it. But right now it seems pretty flat, and that's why we haven't kind of built out into it. And then we did ask a lot of players, we did some research on like how they're finding these games, and we didn't find anything that's like really preventing them. It's kind of frustrating, but the things that we would need to do require a lot heavier of a lift, and that would require seeing growth out of that vertical first. Any news on internationalization? Internationalization is definitely going to happen after it's probably going to happen at the end of this year. And I think there's three things that we're kind of debating what we're going to like really focus on, and those are going to be huge verticals for us. That would probably be the end of this year. Why has it been removed? Because users did not find that information useful. They were unsure on where it came from. And we asked them like, hey, do you think this is valuable, helping you choose? And they said, well, did they write this or did you write this? And a lot of them said like, yeah, I want to see like the system tell me something, not themselves, because there's a lot of variety there. Oh my God, the FOMO is real for Gen Con. DM Ozymandias. When are we going to see some tools more appropriate for play-by-post, like not faking time, date, duration as a way to search? DM Ozymandias, probably when we see more growth. I think I just kind of mentioned this, but when we see more growth out of that that vertical of play-by-post games, and when we have a landing page for them specifically, we assume we would see some growth out of them. And if that's the case, then we're definitely going to move more tools towards that. Andrew Leo, With the recent handbook celebration that SBG is running with Wizard of the Coast, I noticed that the questions about the 5 reviews, is that a requirement or a preferred option? It's usually a requirement. Usually when we have someone that is representing Start Playing in a partnership, we want someone who knows the system, who has actually run games for people before that they are actually benefiting from some of these partnerships. And it's usually if we have a limit on how many people that they can accept, we will be prioritizing the GMs that have the most experience. I know sometimes it's frustrating things like how do I get experience if you're only letting people that participate this experience, but there's still a lot of other activations you can get on. But usually when it's a lot bigger or there's limited, we have to prioritize people we know will support the brand the best. Is there a way? This is Isaac. Is there a way to create a listing that the price is for the whole group and gets divided up by the players? Isaac, actually, we decided not to do that after testing very early on. We originally did that, and players kind of hated it. And when we got rid of it and we went for single session booking, that's when we saw like a huge uptick in our booking. So the reason why we don't do it is because it doesn't seem to work. Tom, with the upcoming game search, will the tags we've been using with listings be searchable too? I don't know. Something's coming. Okay, want to make sure my co-founder Nate isn't around. Don't let him hear this. Okay. Something's happening with search. I can't tell you what it is right now. Something very cool is happening. Okay, next question. Can we get a language filter in the Find GM since we already have that information in our profiles? GM George, probably later, more in the year when we focus on like that GM side internationalization. I think we might see it a little sooner. That's actually one of the projects we have to test to see if we want to do internationalization first. But there's also some new features coming out from Stripe later in the year. That is why we have kind of decided to push internationalization out further. One of the things that is going to make internationalization really cool, and that is making it easier to advertise and promote games in other locations, is charge in local currency, deposit in local currency, transfer in local currency. That's really, really hard. But Stripe, it looks like they are building something, because we talked to them, that's going to make that easier. So if I am in the UK, well, probably not the UK. If I am in, maybe say the Philippines, I want to run games and I want to make money in my local currency. Actually, I shouldn't choose Philippines because Stripe doesn't support them. Okay, let's do this again. Let's say I'm in Japan and I want to make money in yen. I can charge in yen. When the player gets charged, they're charging yen. That money then goes into my account and then I can, as yen, and then it can deposit into my bank account as yen. But what happens when a US person comes there? And that's one of the problems we're facing. Because then you have to create this math to kind of convert the number into something that isn't bizarre. Because when people are like, oh, this game is $21.58. They're like, why? That's such a weird number. And we know that most players are looking for flat numbers, not the 0.99 or like the random cents added when they're like looking on product pages or collection pages. So, but that is one of the tests that we're going to do to see if we should work on internationalization first, is having a language selector on the GM side and seeing what languages get picked the most. That's also where we're going to decide to kind of like test things out with, is what language is the most popular. Okay, sorry, that was such a long answer, I know. Also chiming in for play-by-post as well. One of the reasons is most platforms don't support PvP style. Jay Grayleon, yes, if we see play-by-post continue to grow, especially with this landing page, we'll definitely be investing more time to build out tools for them. Any news on Europe international? Oh, I think I just answered that. Dear Sign, I hope that answers your question. Nelias, question, is there anything on the horizon that is tailored more towards helping out new GMs, advice and see? Oh, dude, you kidding me? You kidding me? Of course there is. Nihilus Adar, there's a whole new webinar series that's coming of GMs that we know have succeeded on the platform and that we're saying, hey, this GM knows what they're talking about. One of the biggest problems with the Discord is I sometimes see people sharing insight who don't have the track record to be sharing insight as if they have the best data points, tips and tricks, etc. Some people are repeating the things that they've heard us say. Of course, that helps. But we are trying to find the GMs that like really know what they're talking about and can be really impactful and help out new players. So there's going to be a whole webinar series on like, hey, how to retain your players, how to write a great listing, a listing review webinar where you come and you're like, here's my game listing, and someone is going to go ahead and tell you like where it can be improved, kind of like the listing help in the Discord. So there's a whole series of GMs who are going to be doing webinars to help new GMs. Nihilus Adar, let me know if that helps. Okay, Andrew Leo, thanks about the 5 reviews. Separate question, any progress on making SBG Discord bot integration or something to that degree? We're focusing right now on the transactional email stuff, and then we're going to move back to Discord bots and integrations and things like that. Shouldn't have stopped mumbling. Thank you. Plane Shift Overdrive. Is there an SBG meetup this year at Gen Con? If there is, where can I find the details? Plane Shift Overdrive. You can find the details in the Discord on the channel named Gen Con. I just dropped the link in there this morning. Mr. Gloom, question. It seemed like you needed to include a lot of keywords in the title in order to get bites from players. Now that is restricted, is there a better way to increase visibility on my end? Mr. Gloom, I don't think that's necessarily the, I do not think that analysis is 100% the thing you should be focusing on, is that your title is longer, so your visibility is less. That's not really the case. But we are kind of measuring that. We are seeing like, hey, are less people searching and then clicking? Or are people still being able to search and find a result? I would say continue what you are doing. I would say because you only have 64 characters, was going to make your title look a lot less spammy because you have to use brevity. You have to be concise. That's the word I'm looking for. So that's what I would continue to remind you to do, is be concise, use brevity, and still make your title punchy. Okay. Plane Shift Overdrive, he answered this earlier, but unfortunately, no, there will be no meetup at Andrew Leo. I didn't say that. There's absolutely a meetup at Gen Con. And you can see the link in the Discord. DM Ozymandias, start playing usernames are a nightmare as there's no way of connecting them to Discord IDs. There's no unique ones. Any chance of having a Discord IDs or emails? No, but we will be looking at making required to have unique usernames, but not right now. But we're not going to be giving out users Discord IDs or their emails. But there will be eventually unique user IDs or usernames. Pro gamer. See, I'm almost at 1,000 games. About 2 more months, and I will be. Oh my gosh, stream's gone. Let's go. Wow. Oh my gosh, I got to the end of chat. Let's see, Mr. Gloom, searchable tags will help a lot, but Devin can't tell us about that yet. I do appreciate the shorter, less spammy looking games. Appreciate the insight. Mr. Gloom, yeah, we looked at it and, any between 50 and 70 characters is kind of what is recommended when you have as many products as we do for skimmability as well. But there was a number of other stuff that Nate did in his research, but that was one of the big things that kind of came out of the usability of it. Okay. Did I get all of the questions? Oh my gosh. I know there's more. Let me see if there's anything else I'm interested to talk about. Oh, you guys want to hear something crazy? Some of our top GMs are making over $8,000 a month running games. That blew me away. That's really, really cool. In your opinion, what is the song of the summer? Oh my gosh. It's gotta be, I mean, if we're talking pop divas, which I love, Chaparral, and Sabrina and Charlie, I think they got some songs this summer. What was else I listened to? Gosh, I honestly think it's still too early. We might get something. We might get something new. But if not, I have to say to one of the trinity of pop divas right now. We need Cat Cheap Roll and keep Devin talking. What? How? Holy! Oh, you're okay. I just realized everyone is commenting around these games. Yeah, I was also blown away. I was blown away, but it's more. It's more than one, and so that's awesome. Avid DM question: Marvel event update. Listen, it's balls in their court. I shot it. I shot my shot. I shooted my shot. I shot my shot. Just waiting to hear back. Um, is the average game price going up? Distracted DM. It's actually kind of funny. The average price is still around the $15 to $20, because we do see like a number of GMs join and then they start at this rate and they kind of go up over time. The thing is like the new GM coming to the site goes in when those that try to charge $40 right out the gate aren't as successful. And that's not me saying you shouldn't charge $40 if you're brand new. What I'm saying is like they look at people who are charging that and they look at their track record on the site and they look at the track record of you and they're like, I don't understand how this would be worth it. But you do see a lot of GMs starting at the $10 and $15, and then they get a lot of players and they continue to see success. And then as they open up new games, they raise their rates $5 each time. So we see that people kind of get to that higher bound over like 6 months to a year, but they have to start on that lower end to kind of like ramp up. And what we notice when doing some user interviews is people like are looking at these gyms like, oh well, I usually wouldn't play in a $10 game, but I will in this one because he looks new, and so I'm sure he just started out, and so I think it's kind of worth the risk rather than a GM I know is going to be great at $30 or $40. But if this person had a bunch of reviews, I probably wouldn't play in a $10 game with them. I thought that was really interesting. That was a really nice kind of like anecdote. But I kind of heard something similar in three different users around that, around like how they view price. Okay. Distracted DM. Oh, that's not a question. Question. Vampire event update. Probably not till after Gen Con. Everyone's heads down Gen Con right now. Everyone in the emails. Everyone I'm talking to. Any contact with Palladium about TMNT? Nothing. Nothing. But I would love to do something with them. Is there a game rank count when you might up your price per game? Copernicus, that's between you and the old gods. And I've got some other GMs. But I think yeah, you know what? I don't have something I could really say like this is what you should do. Um, let's see. Question: Can we get a zombie choice in the warning section? Right now we have body mutilation and pandemic to cover zombies. I don't know if the zombie's a trigger warning. I feel like the game should say zombie, and then I think that kind of already puts the warning there. I have to think on it. I don't know if that's useful. But I'm gonna think on it, because you brought it up, and that means I need to think about it some more. Okay. Question: Can we suggest publishers to contact for collabs? Um, we've reached out to almost every publisher. And so if they're interested, our DMs are open. But right now, there's not really a publisher that we haven't reached out to try to do a collaboration with. But if you have a connection at any of these houses and you want to give me a personal introduction, I'm more than happy to like start the conversation that way. But we have like done a lot of reach out already, and it's usually either been like we're not interested or we don't have the time, or like we'd love to. We are just too busy. If schedule and sessions conflict, what shows in search? Schedule. Oh, Tog iffy. Tog iffy. This is beautiful question. Beautiful question. All of you beautiful game masters, you beautiful game masters, please go and make sure that your schedule and your sessions match. Because your schedule is what shows in search. Now, guys, here's one of the hardest things about adaptive. Okay, and I tried to explain this earlier. But if you have, maybe I can do some visual stuff here. Let's see. Where's my pens? Where'd you guys hide my pens? Oh, there they are. Okay, let's see if these work. Okay, let me do some fun stuff here. No, it doesn't work. Okay, we got that one, and then we got Okay. So search is full of the, actually, one of these will show up, right? Yeah. Search is full of this, right? It's full of two different types of games. Games that have a schedule, which means they have a date, right? Well, they have a schedule, and games that have a session scheduled. So games with a date, right? We can easily make these chronological. But what about pending games that don't have a date yet? Having to write something that says this doesn't have a date, but I want you in the database to assume that it is the soonest date possible. But then when that date passes, then this is recalculated again to have the next soonest date possible. That's what made adaptive really, really hard to build. Because before, we had dates, we had times. Now we have a lot of game listings that just don't have dates. Let's see. If I'm not surprised that folks at Rowan and Brook and Descartes would, I'm surprised. Well, I didn't say that, dear sign. What I'm saying is the most people we've talked to just haven't had the time, or they just haven't had the right project. But anyone who is interested, we want to work with everyone because we know that we can get more people playing publishers' games. We know that we can get GMs running games they want to play because we know the best way to get people playing more indie games is these events. Mr. Gloom, so many of my players are asking for Dungeons & Dragons toggle off options in search. Wonder if that was on your radar. It definitely is, but your players should absolutely message support and say that they want that. But it is something that I have, we have a project down the line for. To move that up, those players should definitely tell search, hey, I want to see this feature. Because that might move things up if we have the time for it. Let's see. You can go to your profile page, check the games that are showing, and then that should indicate problems. Andrew Leo. I tried to run a paid campaign a few months back, but after session 0, all the players left and gave the reason that their schedule changed at once. Is there a way to avoid this on the GM side? Andrew Leo? Is there a way that I make sure those players' schedule doesn't change? Absolutely not. Andrew Leo, I'm not actually sure what the question you're asking is. Can you rephrase it? Different types of horror in the trigger warning could be helpful, like what they have in Ravenloft. Body horror is one of many. Absolutely, Isaac. If you have some suggestions, please shoot them over support, and they'll go ahead and bring it up our weekly and bi-weekly meetings. Mr. Gloom, I absolutely will do that. Wait, what? I can't see what that says. Ha ha ha. Thanks, Devin. Perfect. You're welcome. Right back at you. Okay. Team. Oh, I appreciate you, Mr. Gloom. Team, I think that's bringing us to the end of our office hours. I hope this was helpful. I hope you learned some stuff today. I got time for one more question if there is one. But then if not, I'll just let y'all get back to it. You guys put in a question. I'm gonna go get my dog out of the crate. You're very good. Thank you. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. If not, we'll go ahead and end this. That's it. Everyone got everything they needed. Keith Langley, there's something to be said there. I would say hey, charge for session 0. What logo is on your hat? Oh, this? Oh, sorry, it's not in focus. This is looks kind of like a Nirvana smiley face, but as a beholder. So yeah. Okay. Team, have a great and fantastic week. For those that are going to Gen Con, I can't wait to see it. Give you a high five, have some beer, have some pizza with you. And from that, I'll talk to y'all soon. Later, team. Bye.